It's that time of year where there are playoffs going on across the state, and volleyball is no different. They're getting ready for their playoff schedule. In fact, some of those regional playoffs have already started. And I'm Jason Andera here with Darren Tipton from Adrenaline Fundraising and Adrenaline Volleyball. Tell us a little bit about Adrenaline Volleyball, Darren.
Well, just something we started as a branch off of Adrenaline Fundraising because we work with so many volleyball teams year after year, and we started doing more and more volleyball events and the Future 50 and the Summer Slam and our team camp and those things. And so Adrenaline Volleyball is just kind of taken off, and we have a website. We're doing player rankings, we do our player of the year. We're just doing more and more content covering everything volleyball prep, club volleyball in South Dakota. So it's a must. It's a must. Check it out if you're a volleyball fan in South Dakota. So thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the storylines that people need to know going into the playoffs. Maybe you've paid attention a little bit or not all season long. What do you need to know about South Dakota volleyball? Let's start with just the talent level that we have here in the state.
Right, yeah, I think it's something that we've really tried to promote, and we've noticed in talking with coaches and following more and more is just how much the talent continues to improve and the game develops. The numbers go up, program numbers continue to go up, and thus the talent level. But we talk about having 7 legitimate Division I volleyball players in South Dakota, whether people realize that or not. And volleyball recruiting, we've talked about it's much different than football or basketball. Number one, I think the storyline is just how much better the level of play gets year after year, and how much more talented and some of the top athletes in the state now are playing volleyball, where in years past that maybe wasn't the case.
All right, now following high school volleyball, as we head into these playoffs, some of the storylines that pop out for me that maybe you can expound on a little bit. We'll start with in Class B. Northwestern Wildcats, 35-0, and they've played some A teams.
Right, 36-0 now after last night.
Thank you.
And it took about a half an hour. Yeah, and they have as strong of a schedule for Class B. When you look at the PowerPoint, we broke that down on our podcast a little bit. When you look at the PowerPoints, they had almost a 3 whole point difference between them and Chester, which is number 2, which you understand that's usually like a 0.33 or something difference. It was crazy. They lost 1 set all year, and that was to Miller, number 1 in Class A right now. Probably on a mission after last year, I think, of the disappointment in the state championship game, returning from it. But they have been had their A game, if you will, all season long.
In Class A, I think this is interesting. You've got Sioux Falls Christian, who, if you look at the win-loss record, you see a lot of losses there. And then you've got Miller and Dakota Valley that are right there with them. But what separates these 3 teams?
I don't know if much does. We're going to see that hopefully in Rapid City in a couple weeks, what separates them. But Dakota Valley was really the surprise of the class. I think you knew coming in. But they were a team last year that struggled, at Allie Beersford coming back. And they just kind of hung around, and they had a great record. I think they dropped a match to an Iowa school early. And then all of a sudden they play Sioux Falls Christian, who everybody talked about, which you should. And Sioux Falls Christian gets up 2-0. And then all of a sudden, DV comes back, and now everybody's like, okay, we better talk about Dakota Valley. They beat Sioux Falls Christian. But those schools both play quite a few out-of-state teams. And when they go to Iowa, in those Iowa tournaments,
they're fantastic.
Yeah. So when you need to look at their schedules and understand that 8 losses, I think Falls Christian has, it's not 8 losses. They've beaten AA teams here in South Dakota as well. And then Miller, the real test for Miller this year, they played Northwestern. I don't really know. Maybe their in-state schedule isn't as tough, but they went to a tournament in Minnesota and only dropped 1 team where they played a lot better competition. So that's going to be, and I think we thought coming in Class A would probably have the most parity, and there could be 4 or 5 teams. And I think there's legitimately 4 teams that can win it still. McCook Central is another team that they're touched on that has been there all year.
Don't worry, we're going to get into this in a lot more depth and detail in our podcast. I'm going to have Darren Tipton on my podcast too, so click on that if you want to get more detail. But just an overview of AA. Going back to the Summer Slam, where Watertown and O'Gorman were the best teams in the state, that's carried through the season all the way through last night.
Yeah, it has, and I thought the season coming into SummerSlam, I think we really thought initially with what was coming back. O'Gorman be the top, and talent-wise, athletically, they are. They played Watertown beat them in SummerSlam, which was a surprise to some people. And then they turned around. They played real early in the season at a Huron tournament, and Watertown beat them 2-0. And they just kept rolling. And O'Gorman kept rolling.
Yeah.
But Watertown didn't fall off either. Those are two really talented teams that I think have kind of risen above right now, everybody. But with the one thing with AA, I think we know every year is there's so much familiarity. Those teams have all played each other. They all have talent, and you have to bring it 3 nights to win that class. So consistency is important. Both of those teams have showed that so far this year.
I love talking volleyball with Darren Tipton. Like I said, check out the podcast for more, and you can go to Adrenaline Volleyball for a ton of content on your website.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darren.
Absolutely.